Let's go back, way back, to a quiet little street called Privet Drive. It's the kind of place where everything is neat, the lawns are manicured, and the neighbors peek out their windows if you so much as blink too loud. This is where the story of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone begins, not with magic or explosions, but with a very normal family living a very normal life. Or at least they think they are. Meet the Dursleys. Vernon Dursley works at a company that makes drills, wears a mustache as thick as his neck, and gets irritated by anything remotely out of the ordinary. His wife, Petunia, is equally obsessed with being normal, and spends most of her time gossiping about the neighbors or wiping down already clean kitchen counters. And then there's their son, Dudley. Let's just say Dudley Dursley has two of everything. 2 rooms, 2 chins, and definitely more than 2 tantrums a day. But while the Dursleys are trying to keep everything perfectly average, the rest of the world is anything but. Because today, something big is happening. People in cloaks are wandering the streets in broad daylight. Owls are flying in flocks during the daytime. And there's even a cat, a very stiff-looking one, reading a map on the corner of Privet Drive. Yeah, that's not normal. That cat is actually Professor McGonagall, and she's not just watching the Dursleys' house for fun. She's waiting for someone. As night falls, we meet Albus Dumbledore, long silver beard, half-moon glasses, the kind of man who seems to carry mystery around with him like a cloak. He walks onto Privet Drive as casually as someone going out for milk, but what he's carrying is something the Dursleys, and the rest of the world, could never imagine. And then he arrives. Hagrid rides in on a flying motorcycle, no big deal, holding a baby boy wrapped in blankets. That boy is Harry Potter. Just a baby, but already famous. What? Because the night before, something unimaginable happened. Harry's parents, Lily and James Potter, were murdered by the most feared dark wizard in the world, Lord Voldemort. But when Voldemort turned his wand on baby Harry, something strange happened. The curse backfired. Voldemort was destroyed, or at least vanished, and Harry survived with nothing but a lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. Just like that, the wizarding world had a new hero, the boy who lived. But instead of growing up a celebrated hero, Harry is left on the doorstep of the Dursleys. Because Dumbledore believes it's safer for Harry to grow up away from the fame and the chaos. He'll be famous, McGonagall says. Every child in our world will know his name. And she's right. But for now, Harry is just a baby in a blanket, sleeping under a handwritten note and the stars. Fast forward 10 years, and Harry Potter is living in the cupboard under the stairs. His life with the Dursleys is rough. He's more servant than family. Dudley bullies him constantly. Vernon and Petunia treat him like a nuisance. His clothes are Dudley's old cast-offs, way too big. His glasses are broken and taped. And the cupboard under the stairs? Yeah, that's his bedroom. Harry doesn't know who he really is. He just knows he doesn't belong. Strange things happen around him sometimes. His hair grows back overnight after a bad haircut. A snake at the zoo talks to him, and once he even ends up on the school roof after Dudley's gang chases him. The Dursleys explain it all away, calling him weird or a troublemaker. But everything starts to change on his 11th birthday. It begins with letters. Not just any letters. Letters addressed specifically to Mr. H. Potter, the cupboard under the stairs. The Dursleys freak out. They burn the letters. They bolt the mail slot. They even move Harry to Dudley's second bedroom. But the letters keep coming. Hundreds of them. Flooding the fireplace. Flying through the windows. No matter what the Dursleys do, the letters find a way. Vernon loses it. He drives the family to the middle of nowhere, to a shack on a rock in the middle of the sea. No post service here, he says proudly, convinced he's finally outsmarted the letters. But of course he hasn't. Because just as the clock strikes midnight on Harry's birthday, boom, the door bursts open and there stands Rubeus Hagrid. Half-giant, wild hair, pink umbrella. Sorry about that, he says, brushing the door off its hinges like it's no big deal. I'm here to give Harry his letter. Harry learns the truth in one overwhelming moment. He's a wizard. He's been accepted to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. His parents didn't die in a car crash like the Dursleys told him. They were murdered. By Voldemort. And Harry survived. It's a lot to take in. But Harry doesn't hesitate. Something deep inside him knows this is real. This is where he belongs. The wizarding world is calling. The Dursleys try to stop him, of course. Vernon tries to forbid it. Petunia rants about her freak of a sister. But Hagrid's not having any of it. You're coming, Harry, he says. And there's not a thing they can do to stop it. And just like that, Harry Potter steps out of the shadows of the cupboard and into the light of a world he never knew existed. So Harry's life just flipped upside down in the best way possible. One day he's sleeping in a cupboard, the next he's told, "Hey, you're a wizard," by a half-giant holding a pink umbrella and a birthday cake. Honestly, best 11th birthday ever. The next morning, Harry and Hagrid head off to get Harry's school supplies, and that means a trip to Diagon Alley, the secret wizard shopping district hidden behind a brick wall in the back of a London pub. To get there, Hagrid taps a few bricks in just the right order, and boom, bricks slide apart and open into a bustling street full of owls, cauldrons, broomsticks, and magic in every corner. For the first time in his life, Harry doesn't feel out of place. Everything's strange, sure, but in a way that feels right. It's like he's finally seeing the world as it really is. First stop? Gringotts, the wizard bank run by goblins in sharp suits who look like they'd rather eat paperwork than file it. Harry's nervous at first, because the Dursleys never gave him anything, but surprise. His parents left him a small fortune in gold. Seriously, his vault looks like it belongs to a tiny dragon. He's shocked. All this is mine? And Hagrid just grins. "Yeah, parents left ya well, Harry." But Hagrid's not just there to help with money. He also has a top-secret errand from Dumbledore. While Harry's filling his bag with gold, Hagrid sneaks off to a high-security vault and retrieves something. It's small, wrapped in paper, and mysterious enough to make you curious for the next 3 books. We'll come back to that later. With money in hand, Harry starts shopping. Robes? Check. Cauldron? Got it. Books? Tons. A wand? That part's special. Because when Harry walks into Ollivander's, he meets a man who knows things. Ollivander doesn't just sell wands, he pairs them like magic matchmakers. Harry tries wand after wand. Nothing feels right. Until one wand made of holly and phoenix feather, 11 inches, nice and supple. The moment he touches it, the shop glows. Magic sparks. Ollivander looks at Harry like he just solved a riddle. That wand, he says, shares a core with another wand, the one that gave Harry his scar. Voldemort's wand. It's a heavy moment, but also kind of perfect. Because from here on, Harry isn't just a wizard. He's Harry Potter, the wizard tied by fate to the darkest force the magical world's ever known. Before they leave Diagon Alley, Hagrid gifts Harry a snowy white owl named Hedwig. She's quiet, elegant, and honestly way more graceful than Hagrid himself. "Happy birthday," Hagrid says, and the look on Harry's face says it all. This is the first time someone's ever celebrated him. Now fast forward a few weeks, it's September 1st. The day Harry boards the train to Hogwarts. He's sent off with his ticket, which says platform 9 3/4, and of course when he gets to King's Cross Station, there's no such platform in sight. Just a wall between platforms 9 and 10. He's completely lost. Until he hears a voice that will become part of his life forever, Mrs. Weasley. She's guiding her kids, Ron, Fred, George, Percy, and the youngest, Ginny, through the barrier with practiced ease. She spots Harry looking confused and kindly helps him out. "All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier. Don't stop and don't be scared." Harry runs for it, and to his surprise he doesn't crash. He finds himself on platform 9 3/4, staring at the Scarlet Hogwarts Express. This is where Harry meets Ron Weasley, who becomes his first real friend. Ron's got a hand-me-down everything, wand, robes, pet rat. But he's real. They bond over candy on the train, chocolate frogs, Bertie Bott's every flavor beans, earwax, anyone? And awkward small talk that turns into genuine laughter. And then comes Hermione Granger. She's bossy, brilliant, and knows everything. She even fixed her friend's glasses with a spell before they even reached the castle. Harry and Ron are kind of overwhelmed by her at first. She talks a mile a minute and already memorized the school rules, but you can tell she's going to be important. The train winds through the countryside, finally arriving at Hogsmeade Station, where they meet Hagrid again. He leads the first years across a dark lake in small boats. And then, the castle comes into view. Hogwarts. Massive towers, glowing windows, bridges that stretch across cliffs. It's like stepping into a dream. Harry is stunned. This isn't just a school, it's a new world. Inside, Professor McGonagall greets the first years and gives them a quick rundown. Before they can unpack or settle in, they'll be sorted into one of 4 houses: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, or Slytherin. Each house has its own traits, dorms, and common rooms. This is more than a label, it's your new family. To figure out where they belong, each student must put on the sorting hat, a literal talking hat that reads minds and makes decisions. No pressure. Harry's nervous. Everyone's whispering his name. He's the boy who lived. What if he messes up? What if he gets put in Slytherin where Voldemort went? One by one, students get sorted. Then it's Harry's turn. The sorting hat pauses. It senses power. Potential. You could be great in Slytherin, it whispers. It's all here in your head, and Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness, there's no doubt about that. But Harry thinks, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. The hat hears him. Not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure? Well, if you're sure, better be Gryffindor. The table erupts in cheers. Harry sits down, overwhelmed but happy. Ron joins him. Hermione too. They're all Gryffindors. And across the room at the Slytherin table sits a pale, pointed boy named Draco Malfoy. Harry met him briefly in Diagon Alley and instantly disliked him. Now they're rivals. You can already feel it. The feast begins. Food appears magically. Platters of roast chicken, piles of potatoes, rivers of pumpkin juice. The ghosts arrive, including the nearly headless Sir Nicholas. Dumbledore gives a welcome speech full of quirks and wisdom. Nitwit, blubber, oddment, tweak. The man is a mystery wrapped in a robe. Finally, after full bellies and spinning heads, the first years are led to their common rooms. The castle is full of shifting staircases, talking portraits, and hidden doors. But Harry doesn't care. He's found his place. He's not just a cupboard boy anymore. He's home. Harry's first morning at Hogwarts hits different. There are no Dursleys banging on the door, no cold cereal or Dudley screaming about his birthday presents. Instead, there's a warm, enchanted castle, sunlight filtering through ancient windows, and a hum of magic in the air. For the first time ever, Harry wakes up feeling like he belongs somewhere. Classes begin, and Hogwarts is anything but ordinary. You've got Transfiguration with Professor McGonagall, where she turns her desk into a pig and back again without breaking a sweat. There's Charms, where students learn to levitate feathers with the flick of a wand. And then there's Potions, taught by Professor Snape. Now Snape is intense. Black robes, greasy hair, and a voice that sounds like it's always halfway through a threat. From day one he seems to have it out for Harry. He sneers. He asks impossible questions. And when Harry can't answer, Snape takes points from Gryffindor like it's a sport. There's clearly history here, even if Harry doesn't know what it is yet. Outside class, life at Hogwarts is just as exciting. The castle is alive with secrets. Staircases that shift direction, doors that only open if you tickle the right spot, and ghosts who float through walls like it's nothing. There's Peeves the poltergeist who throws chalk at students for fun, and nearly headless Nick, the friendly Gryffindor ghost who's still salty he didn't qualify for the headless hunt. One afternoon, the Gryffindors head outside for their first flying lesson with Madame Hooch. Harry's never even touched a broom before. But the moment his hand closes around the handle, something clicks. Then things go sideways. Draco Malfoy, who's already decided Harry is his personal enemy, snatches Neville's Remembrall, a little magical ball that glows red when you've forgotten something. Draco takes off on his broom, taunting everyone. And Harry, without thinking, leaps onto his broom and chases him. He's fast. Natural. He dives, swerves, and catches the Remembrall in midair, just inches from the ground. It's reckless, it's dangerous, and it's awesome. McGonagall sees the whole thing, and instead of punishing Harry, she pulls him out of class and introduces him to Oliver Wood, the captain of the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Turns out, Harry's just been recruited as the youngest Seeker in a century. Not bad for day one on a broom. But not everything is fun and games. One night, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Neville accidentally wander into the third-floor corridor. The one Dumbledore explicitly said was forbidden unless you wanted to die a horrible death. They find a door, and behind it, a giant three-headed dog. Seriously, this thing makes Cerberus look like a puppy. They barely escape. Hearts pounding, legs shaking. And as they're catching their breath, Hermione says the dog was standing on something. A trap door. Whatever it's guarding, it's important. And now they know, Hogwarts has secrets. Big ones. Then comes Halloween. The Great Hall is decked out with floating pumpkins and candles. Everything's magical. Until Professor Quirrell bursts in, screaming, "Troll, in the dungeons, thought you ought to know," and faints on the spot. Panic. Chaos. Students scream and scatter. But Harry and Ron remember. Hermione doesn't know. She'd been crying in the bathroom earlier after Ron insulted her. Without thinking, they rush off to find her. They reach the bathroom and find the troll. 10 feet tall. Gray skin. A club the size of a tree branch. It's already wrecked half the place. Hermione is trapped. Harry distracts it. Ron, thinking fast, uses Wingardium Leviosa, the spell Hermione had been so annoying about in class, and floats the troll's club into the air, then drops it on its own head. Boom. Troll down. Professors rush in. It's a mess. But something amazing happens. Hermione lies. She says it was her fault. That she went looking for the troll. That Harry and Ron were just trying to save her. And just like that, the trio becomes a trio. Something changes. They're not just classmates anymore. They're friends. Real ones. Time passes. Winter creeps in. Hogwarts gets blanketed in snow, and the castle turns cozy with roaring fireplaces and enchanted Christmas trees. Most students go home for the holidays, but Harry stays. It's his first real Christmas, and it's magical. He wakes up to presents, including one very mysterious gift, an invisibility cloak left with a note saying, "Use it well." No signature. Just a clue. It once belonged to his father. That night, Harry does what any curious 11-year-old with a literal invisibility device would do. He explores. He sneaks into the restricted section of the library, hunting for answers about the mysterious object Hagrid took from Gringotts. Instead, he stumbles across something even stranger, a mirror. The Mirror of Erised. It's not an ordinary mirror. When Harry looks into it, he doesn't see himself as he is. He sees his parents, smiling, standing beside him. Alive. It's heartbreaking. He visits the mirror night after night, desperate to see them again. Until Dumbledore appears like he always does, quiet, wise, and a little cryptic. This mirror shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts, he tells Harry. But it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. And just like that, the mirror is moved, hidden away, because some magic Dumbledore knows is too powerful to use lightly. As the snow melts and winter fades, life at Hogwarts picks up speed. Harry's settling into his classes, his friendships, and this whole wizarding life. But one thing's still on his mind. What exactly is being hidden underneath that three-headed dog on the third floor? And what was that mysterious package Hagrid grabbed from Gringotts? He doesn't have long to dwell though, because now it's time for his first ever Quidditch match. Now, Quidditch is basically wizarding football in the sky, with way more danger. 7 players per team flying on broomsticks with 4 balls flying around at once. Harry's position is seeker, and his job is to catch the tiny golden snitch that whizzes around the pitch at insane speeds. Do that, and your team scores 150 points, pretty much guaranteeing a win. The whole school is hyped. Even the professors show up. But when the match starts, things go weird. Harry's broom starts jerking around like it's possessed. He's barely hanging on. Hermione, watching from the stands, spots something suspicious. Professor Snape, muttering under his breath, eyes locked on Harry. Thinking fast, she sprints across the stands, sneaks under the bleachers, and sets Snape's robes on fire. Suddenly, Harry regains control. He zips upward and, bam, catches the snitch in his mouth. Gryffindor wins. Crowd goes wild. Afterward, Harry, Ron, and Hermione piece things together. Snape was trying to curse Harry's broom. Or at least that's what it looked like. But why? Why would a Hogwarts professor want to hurt him? They decide to find out. And that means talking to Hagrid. They visit his hut, which is cozy in a sort of giant owns a cottage kind of way. There's a fire going and Hagrid's boiling tea big enough to bathe in. When they ask about the three-headed dog, Hagrid lets something slip. The dog's name is Fluffy, and he's guarding something important. Something that belongs to Nicholas Flamel. Boom. Clue unlocked. From that moment, it's research time. The trio dives into every book they can find, searching for the name Nicholas Flamel. But Hogwarts has a lot of books, like ancient libraries worth. And it's only by chance, when Hermione grabs a chocolate frog trading card, that they finally crack it. Nicholas Flamel is a famous alchemist, the only known creator of the Philosopher's Stone. And that is what's hidden beneath Fluffy. The Philosopher's Stone isn't just any magical artifact. It can turn any metal into pure gold and create the elixir of life, a potion that makes you immortal. You see where this is going, right? Now they understand why someone might want to steal it, and why Dumbledore's keeping it guarded under a monster dog. And they're not the only ones who seem to know, because guess who's still slinking around in the shadows? Yep, Snape. The trio becomes obsessed. They spy on Snape. They follow him through the corridors. One night, they overhear him questioning Professor Quirrell, the stuttering defense against the dark arts teacher, about how to get past the enchantments guarding the stone. It's clear Snape's up to something. And Quirrell? He's terrified. But things only get more intense when Draco Malfoy starts stirring the pot again. He challenges Harry to a midnight duel. Classic Draco, loud, smug, and looking for trouble. Harry agrees and Ron tags along. But it's a trap. Malfoy never planned to show up. Instead, he rats them out to Filch, the caretaker. The boys run, and Hermione ends up tagging along, despite being the last person who'd ever break a rule. They escape Filch by ducking into a forbidden hallway, and find themselves face to face with Fluffy once again. This time, though, they notice something else. The dog is sleeping, and there's music playing nearby. Fluffy, apparently, can be lulled to sleep with music. That's important. But even more trouble's on the horizon. Spring rolls in and detention comes knocking. After another hallway mishap, thanks again to Malfoy, Harry, Hermione, Neville, and Draco all get sent to the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid. And if the name didn't give it away, yeah, it's exactly as creepy as it sounds. Dark, dense, and filled with creatures that most sane people wouldn't go near. Their task? Investigate why something's been attacking unicorns. Unicorns, pure, magical creatures, have been found dead, their silvery blood staining the forest floor. Hagrid splits the group into pairs. Harry goes with Fong, Hagrid's cowardly boarhound, and Draco, who's complaining every 5 seconds. As they walk deeper into the forest, they find a fresh trail, silvery blood on the leaves. And then, they see it. A hooded figure crouched over a unicorn's body, drinking its blood. Harry's scar explodes with pain. He falls to the ground. The figure rises, pale, menacing, unnatural, and glides toward him. Just as it reaches for Harry, a centaur named Firenze bursts out of the trees and drives it away. Firenze carries Harry to safety and explains the horrifying truth. Drinking unicorn blood keeps you alive, even if you're only half alive. But the cost is terrible. A cursed life. A shadow of existence. Do you know what is hidden in the school right now? Firenze asks. That thing you saw is trying to steal it. To return to power. Harry's breath catches. Voldemort. It has to be him. Somehow he's still alive, barely. And he's trying to come back. Using unicorn blood to survive. And maybe the Philosopher's Stone to return for good. The trio realizes the stakes just got real. This isn't just a school mystery anymore. This is about stopping the most dangerous dark wizard of all time from coming back to life. And they might be the only ones who know what's really going on. The Forbidden Forest wasn't just scary, it was a wake-up call. Harry now knows for sure that Voldemort is still out there, clinging to life, and desperate to get his hands on the Philosopher's Stone. He's been hiding in the shadows, feeding on unicorn blood, and possibly manipulating people at Hogwarts to do his dirty work. And the trio? They're the only ones connecting the dots. Back in the castle, Harry's scar still aches. It's like a warning signal that won't turn off. Every time Snape walks past, every time Quirrell stammers a little too nervously, it flares. The more he feels it, the more convinced he is that someone, maybe both of them, is working with Voldemort. Then comes the next piece of the puzzle, Hagrid. The kids confront him again, asking what else he knows about Fluffy and what's underneath that trapdoor. Hagrid tries to play dumb, but Hagrid and subtlety don't exactly go together. Eventually, he lets something slip. He says the protection around the stone was built by multiple professors, not just Dumbledore. Fluffy is just the first line of defense. There's more. Riddles, spells, enchantments, and one of them involves a certain plant. Hagrid, Hermione says slowly, "Did you tell anyone how to get past Fluffy?" And just like that, Hagrid panics. "I might have told a stranger, at the pub." You see, Hagrid has a soft spot for strange creatures. And someone took advantage of that, got him a bit drunk, asked about Fluffy, and tricked him into revealing that the dog can be put to sleep with music. And that's when everything clicks. That hooded figure in the forest. The attack on Harry's broom. The pressure on Quirrell. The stone hidden under Hogwarts, behind protections that someone is clearly trying to bypass. Harry knows it now, they're going to try and steal it soon. The trio goes straight to Dumbledore. Except he's gone. Yep. Summoned away on urgent business. And it feels like too much of a coincidence. The moment Dumbledore leaves, the stone is suddenly vulnerable. They can't wait anymore. If they want to stop Voldemort from returning, if they want to protect the stone, they'll have to do it themselves. So they plan. That night, under the invisibility cloak, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sneak out of Gryffindor Tower, past Filch, Mrs. Norris, and Peeves the Poltergeist. They head straight for the Forbidden Corridor, and find the door open. Someone's already gone through. Beyond the door, Fluffy is there. Growling. Pacing. But there's a harp in the corner, still playing by itself. Someone's just been here. And they're already one step ahead. The trio acts fast. Hermione conjures music on a flute. Fluffy's eyes droop. He yawns. He collapses. And then they lift the trapdoor and jump through, one by one. Their fall is cushioned by a squishy, aggressive plant, Devil's Snare. It's a magical vine that strangles anything that struggles. Ron and Harry are panicking, but Hermione, being Hermione, remembers what the plant hates: light. She casts a quick Lumos Solum, flooding the room with sunlight. The plant shrinks away and they break free. One room down. Next, they find a room full of flying keys, dozens of them zooming through the air like angry insects. One of them unlocks the next door, and Harry, the natural flyer, mounts a broom and chases it down. It's like a mini Quidditch match, and with a perfectly timed dive, he snatches the key and they're through. Third challenge, a giant chessboard. Not a small one, life-sized. And they can't just watch. They have to play. It's wizard chess, aggressive, brutal, and very real. Pieces smash each other to bits. Ron takes charge as captain. He's a strategist more than he gets credit for, and he directs their moves like a general in battle. But to win, someone has to sacrifice themselves. Ron climbs onto the knight's horse and lets himself get taken, crashed to the ground in a brutal blow. He's unconscious but alive. Harry and Hermione move forward, hearts pounding, knowing there's no turning back now. In the next chamber, they find a row of potions and a riddle. This one's Hermione's moment. It's pure logic, no magic, no wand waving, just brains. And she nails it. There's only enough potion for one person to go forward. Harry insists, "I have to face him." Hermione nods. "Be careful. Go. I'll go back for Ron." Harry steps through the final door and comes face to face with Professor Quirrell. Not Snape. Not the obvious villain. Quirrell. The stammering, twitchy, nervous professor has been the puppet master all along. The act? Just that, an act. Quirrell has been trying to get to the stone the whole year. He let the troll into the castle on Halloween. He jinxed Harry's broom during the Quidditch match. He manipulated Hagrid into revealing how to get past Fluffy. Snape, it turns out, was trying to protect Harry. He'd been watching Quirrell the whole time. And then comes the most terrifying reveal yet. Quirrell unwraps his turban, and on the back of his head is Voldemort's face. Pale, snake-like, and barely alive. Voldemort has been living on Quirrell, feeding off him like a parasite. Waiting. Plotting. He speaks cold, echoing words. He tells Harry to join him. That they could bring Harry's parents back. That power is everything. But Harry refuses. So Voldemort orders Quirrell to take the stone by force. Harry finds it in his pocket. How, he doesn't know. But it's there. Quirrell lunges at him. And something incredible happens. The moment Quirrell touches Harry, he burns. Literally. His skin blisters. Smoke rises. Voldemort screams. Harry grabs his face, his arms, anything to stop him, and Quirrell falls. The pain in Harry's scar explodes. Darkness falls. And everything goes black. Harry wakes up to the familiar scent of hospital linen and the soft hum of Hogwarts. He blinks. Everything's fuzzy at first, but slowly the room comes into focus. He's in the hospital wing. And sitting beside him? Dumbledore. Calm, wise, and, most importantly, alive. The first thing Harry blurts out is, "The stone. Is it safe?" Dumbledore smiles and reassures him. "Yes, Harry. It's gone." Gone? That throws Harry for a loop. Turns out, after everything that happened, Dumbledore had a long talk with Nicholas Flamel, the actual creator of the Philosopher's Stone, and they both agreed that the stone was just too dangerous to exist. Even with all the protections, it was a magnet for dark forces. So they destroyed it. Which means Flamel and his wife will die. But they're okay with that. After hundreds of years, they've lived full lives. They're ready. That's a heavy moment for Harry. It's his first real brush with the idea that death isn't always something to fear. Then come the big questions, the ones Harry's been burning to ask. Why couldn't Quirrell touch him? Why did the stone appear in Harry's pocket? How did any of it even work? And here, Dumbledore lays down one of the core truths of this entire series. Was love. Lily Potter's love for Harry, her sacrifice, left a mark. Not just the scar on his forehead, but a deep kind of protection. An ancient magic that Voldemort didn't understand, didn't expect. That's why Quirrell couldn't touch him. Harry's blood carries his mother's protection. When Quirrell, with Voldemort riding him like a parasite, laid hands on Harry, it backfired. The pain, the burning, that was love fighting back. As for the stone, it didn't just magically show up in his pocket. It was protected by something called the Mirror of Erist, that enchanted mirror Harry saw earlier in the story, the one that shows your deepest desire. Dumbledore had moved it to the final chamber. And he'd added a twist. The only person who could take the stone from the mirror was someone who wanted to find it, but not use it. Quirrell wanted power. Harry just wanted to stop him. So the stone chose Harry. It's a quiet, powerful moment. And it sets the tone for everything Harry will face later. Power is tempting. But the real strength comes from choosing not to use it. Then Dumbledore drops a little more wisdom. He tells Harry that Voldemort isn't gone, just weakened. He fled when Coral died. But he'll try again. He's still out there. And one day Harry will have to face him again. But not today. Dumbledore also gives Harry some rare honesty. He admits that he doesn't have all the answers. That some things, like why Harry's scar hurts or why Voldemort targeted him in the first place, will only make sense with time. And that's one of the most refreshing parts of this story. Dumbledore isn't the all-knowing, flawless wizard. He's powerful, yes. Wise, absolutely. But he's also humble. And that makes him real. After a few days of rest, Harry is finally allowed out of the hospital wing. He returns to the Gryffindor common room, and it's like stepping into a victory parade. Ron and Hermione are overjoyed. The whole house is cheering. Fred and George start tossing sweets. It's total chaos. Even Neville, sweet, nervous Neville, is grinning from ear to ear. Feels good. But there's still the matter of the house cup. At the end-of-year feast, the Great Hall is decorated in Slytherin green and silver. They've won. Again. The banners are already hanging. The table is smug and smirking. Then Dumbledore stands. And he says, "Before we begin our feast, we must award some last-minute points." And the room goes silent. He turns to Ron. "For the best-played game of chess Hogwarts has seen in many years, 50 points. To Hermione. "For cool logic in the face of fire, 50 points. And to Harry. "For pure nerve and outstanding courage, 60 points. The Gryffindor table erupts. But they're still tied with Slytherin. Then Dumbledore looks at Neville. To Neville Longbottom, who stood up to his friends. 10 points. And just like that, Gryffindor wins. The green banners vanish. The hall is flooded with red and gold. And Neville becomes an instant hero. That moment is everything. It's funny and sweet, but also a massive message. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't fighting an enemy, it's standing up to the people you love. And just like that, the year at Hogwarts comes to a close. The students pack their trunks. The boats glide across the lake. The train whistles to life. The castle shrinks into the horizon, and Harry sits with Ron and Hermione, snacks piled high, laughing and relaxed. But there's a quiet sense of something else too. Change. Harry isn't the same boy who first walked through the wall at platform 9 3/4. He's faced death. He's made friends. He's uncovered secrets. He's taken on Voldemort, and won. As the Hogwarts Express rolls back into King's Cross Station, Harry steps off with Hedwig in her cage and a wand in his pocket. Uncle Vernon waits, arms crossed and scowling. Business as usual. But this time, Harry just smiles. "I'm not going home," he says quietly to himself. "Not really." And with that, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone comes to an end. But we know deep down, this is just the beginning. Before we move deeper into the magic, let's take a step back. Because honestly, the road to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone becoming what it is today, it wasn't some easy enchanted ride. This story almost didn't happen. And that's a part of the magic too. It all started with a woman named Joanne Rowling, sitting on a delayed train from Manchester to London in 1990. She didn't have a pen. She didn't have paper. But she had this image in her head, a boy wizard. With messy black hair, glasses too big for his face, and a lightning bolt scar. A boy who didn't know he was special. Who lived under the stairs, who'd be whisked away into a world full of magic. That train ride changed her life, and eventually it changed ours. Rowling started writing, and writing, and rewriting. She'd scribble notes in cafes, work on napkins, type chapters on an old typewriter while raising a baby daughter as a single mother on welfare. No publisher wanted it at first. She sent the manuscript to 12 different publishers. Every single one rejected it. Then finally a small publishing house, Bloomsbury, took a chance. But even they were cautious. The story was unusual, and they weren't sure if kids would sit through a book that long. They only printed 500 copies in the first edition. That's it. 500. One copy was sent to a little girl, Alice Newton, the CEO's daughter. She read it, loved it, demanded more. That sealed it. In 1997, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone hit bookstores in the UK. The US version, retitled Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, followed in 1998. And from there, it exploded. Within months, it wasn't just a book, it was a phenomenon. Kids were camping out in front of bookstores. Adults were reading it on the subway with the covers folded so no one would see. Teachers were reading it aloud in classrooms. Parents were fighting their kids over who got to finish the chapter first. It became this rare thing, lightning in a bottle. But let's get back to the story itself, because beyond all the hype, Philosopher's Stone laid the foundation for something massive. It introduced us to this world that felt lived in and believable. full of moving staircases, secret rooms, ghosts, talking portraits, and goblins running banks. But it also gave us a deep emotional hook. At its heart, this wasn't a story about magic wands and flying broomsticks. It was about identity. About growing up, being different, feeling alone, and then finding out you do belong somewhere. That you matter. Harry starts the book unwanted and invisible. His family treats him like garbage. He's locked in a cupboard, given Dudley's hand-me-downs, and told he's a burden. But then, he's told he's a wizard. More than that, he's famous. A name whispered with awe. People know who he is. They want to meet him. He has a history, a legacy, even if he doesn't remember it. And as much as that might seem like wish fulfillment, it taps into something deeper. We all want to believe we're meant for something more. That we're not just ordinary. That we have something special inside us, even if no one else sees it yet. And let's not forget the friends. Ron Weasley, loyal, funny, slightly insecure, but always ready to fight for his people. Hermione Granger, brilliant, brave, a bit bossy, but with a heart of gold. These three form a friendship that grounds the story. They're not perfect. They argue. They mess up. But when it counts, they show up. Together they take on trolls, deadly games, magical riddles, and literal dark lords. Not bad for 11-year-olds. Then there's the tone of the story. Rowling doesn't sugarcoat things. She gives us real danger, real pain, real darkness. Quirrell literally dies at the end. Voldemort, though barely a shadow of his former self, still terrifies everyone. And even though this is technically a children's book, it respects the reader's intelligence. It doesn't talk down. It doesn't pretend life is all candy and spells. There are consequences. There's fear. There's death. And that's what gives it weight. There's also humor. Tons of it. From Fred and George's constant antics to Peeves the poltergeist, who sadly didn't make it into the films, to the ridiculousness of wizarding bureaucracy, like sending letters by owl, or using a broken-down flying motorcycle to carry a baby. Magic doesn't make the world perfect. It just makes it weirder. And honestly, that's part of the charm. Hogwarts itself is like a character. The moving staircases, the enchanted ceiling, the talking hats, the hidden chambers, the sense that anything could be behind the next door. It's a school, sure, but it's also a place where you grow up, discover who you are, and find the people who will shape your life. And we, the readers, feel like we're right there with them. It's why when Harry gets on the train at the end and says, "I'm not going home, not really," it hits. Because now we get it too. Hogwarts isn't just a place, it's a feeling, a symbol, a reminder that no matter how ordinary your life may seem, magic might be just around the corner. And this is only the beginning. Next time we'll dive into how this little story about a boy wizard turned into a global empire, spanning movies, theme parks, merch, and a fandom so massive it practically invented online culture as we know it. But for now, we leave Harry on the train, surrounded by sweets and friends and a future that's just getting started. So, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was officially out in the world. At first, it was just a good children's book. Teachers loved it. Parents appreciated that their kids were finally reading something willingly. Bookstores noticed something unusual. It wasn't just flying off shelves, it was staying off shelves. They couldn't keep it in stock. But then, the numbers started to snowball. By the time the second book, Chamber of Secrets, was released, people were lining up for a book. That was wild in the late 90s. And with the momentum came something else, Hollywood. In 1999, Warner Brothers bought the rights to the books. But they didn't just want to make a movie. They wanted a franchise. 8 films. Big budget productions. Iconic British actors. A team of people to carefully sculpt what would become one of the most successful movie series ever made. But before any cameras rolled, there was a major question. Who would play Harry? Millions of kids auditioned. But the casting team couldn't find their boy who lived. Not until they stumbled upon a BBC production where a kid named Daniel Radcliffe had a small role. That was him. He was Harry. Then came Rupert Grint, who sent in a tape of himself rapping about why he should be Ron Weasley. And Emma Watson, bright, articulate, and bossy in exactly the way Hermione needed to be. Boom. The golden trio was locked in. Filming began in 2000. And from the start, the energy was electric. The movie was faithful. Magical. John Williams composed a score that instantly felt iconic. Seriously, that first note of Hedwig's theme, and you're already in another world. And when the movie finally dropped in 2001, it shattered everything. $974 million at the box office. The biggest opening weekend for a film at that time. Suddenly, Hogwarts wasn't just a place in a book, it was a physical reality. We could see it now. Diagon Alley, the Great Hall, the Mirror of East, it all came to life. But the movie didn't just adapt the story, it amplified it. It took the imagination of readers and made it real. And that unlocked something deep. Because now it wasn't just kids reading under the covers, it was entire families going to midnight premieres. It was generations connecting through one story. And that connection became a movement. People started forming fan clubs, writing fanfiction, creating wizard rock bands. Yes, that's a real thing. Debating theories online like, is Snape a vampire? Or, what's up with Dumbledore's past? Websites like MuggleNet and the Leaky Cauldron exploded with traffic. Forums filled with passionate readers who treated Hogwarts like a second home. It was more than fandom. It was community. And as the books kept coming, so did the milestones. Goblet of Fire selling 3 million copies in the first 48 hours. Order of the Phoenix breaking midnight release records. Deathly Hallows being the event of the decade, with parties at bookstores across the globe. It was no longer a niche. It was a cultural landmark. But here's the thing. Despite all the commercial success, all the media attention, all the franchise building, at its core Harry Potter never lost its emotional weight. Let's go back to that Mirror of East for a second. It's not just a cool magical object. It's a metaphor. Harry doesn't want treasure. He doesn't want fame. He just wants to see his parents. That quiet scene, just a boy sitting alone in front of a mirror, aching for people he never got to know, is why this story lands so deeply. It's not about power. It's about love. Even Voldemort's defeat as a baby was because of a mother's protection. That's what makes it hit harder. The magic isn't just in spells, it's in the emotions, the relationships, the choices people make. And over time we start to see that even the villains have layers. Take Draco Malfoy. Sure, in the first book he's just a brat with a rich family. But you sense something else. He's insecure. Raised with prejudice. Desperate to be seen as superior because deep down he's scared of being ordinary. Or Snape. In this first book he's the shadowy, sneering teacher we all love to hate. But even here Rowling drops subtle hints that there's more to him. He's not just evil. There's history. But loyalty that cuts deeper than appearances. That's why rereading the series hits differently. You catch the foreshadowing, the layers, the tiny choices that mean so much later. It's storytelling with long-term vision. And Philosopher's Stone does something incredibly smart. It doesn't try to be too much too fast. It stays focused. The central mystery, what's hidden in the castle? What is the Philosopher's Stone? Why is Voldemort still lingering? It's enough to keep the story tight while quietly opening the doors to something much bigger. By the end you've been introduced to a magical government. A class-based wizarding society. The seeds of prejudice and blood status. Moral ambiguity in authority figures like Dumbledore. And a villain who can't be killed by normal means. All of that in a children's book. That's the genius of Rowling's world building. She makes it digestible, but it's never shallow. And then there's Hogwarts itself. With its 4 houses, magical classes, and deeply specific traditions, it gives readers a system they can belong to. Are you brave like Gryffindor? Clever like Ravenclaw? Loyal like Hufflepuff? Or ambitious like Slytherin? That sorting system alone gave millions of people an instant way to connect to the story, to feel like they were a part of it. It's not just storytelling, it's identity design. So, by now we've followed Harry from the cupboard under the stairs to the enchanted halls of Hogwarts. He's made friends, enemies, and started to uncover the kind of danger that doesn't usually show up in first-year textbooks. And finally, the tension is building toward the climax. Let's talk about that final stretch of the book, because this is where the story really shows its teeth. After months of strange happenings at school, trolls in the dungeon, cursed brooms, suspicious teachers, everything starts to zero in on one big mystery. What's hidden beneath the trapdoor on the 3rd floor? That's the question that haunts Harry, Ron, and Hermione as the school year winds down. And when they realize someone might be about to steal whatever it is, they don't wait for permission. They act. Now let's just take a second here. These are 11-year-olds. In most stories, kids that age are comic relief or side characters. But here, they're stepping up, taking on magical tasks that grown wizards would hesitate to face. And the moment they go through that trapdoor, the whole vibe shifts. It's like a video game, but designed by wizards with very specific personalities. First challenge? Devil's Snare, a plant that strangles anything that struggles. But Hermione, who paid attention in herbology, and is always low-key ready to flex, saves the day. Light and calmness, not force, are what win here. Next, Flying Keys. It's Harry's moment. He spots the right one midair, hops on a broomstick, and chases it down with the same skill that got him noticed as a seeker. It's not just action, it's validation. Flying isn't just a fun side note. It matters now. Then they enter a giant chessboard. Wizard's chess. And this is where Ron shines. He doesn't cast spells or duel anyone. He strategizes. He sacrifices himself so Harry and Hermione can move forward. Think about that. He literally tells a magical knight to hit him with a weapon, because winning means nothing if they can't protect the stone. It's quiet bravery, and it's one of the most defining Ron moments in the whole series. Now Hermione's moment comes next. They reach a logic puzzle, a riddle involving bottles and fire. No spells, just brains. She nails it. And here's the beautiful thing. Harry never tries to outdo his friends. He doesn't act like he has to do everything. He trusts them, relies on them. That teamwork, that humility, that's what sets Harry apart from the villains he'll face later. Eventually Harry goes on alone, into the final room. And who does he find? Not Snape. Not Voldemort in his true form. But Professor Quirrell. Yeah, the stuttering, timid defense against the dark arts teacher. And this reveal is genius because Rowling lays it out in a way that hits hard but still makes total sense in hindsight. Quirrell wasn't nervous, he was hiding something. All year long Harry had been misreading him. It wasn't Snape trying to kill him, it was Snape protecting him. Classic misdirection. And then the big twist. Voldemort is living on the back of Quirrell's head. Sounds crazy. But when you read it, it works. It's not just horror, it's symbolism. Voldemort is literally feeding off of others, hiding like a parasite, unable to survive without a host. He's not just evil. He's pathetic in a way. Desperate. Clinging to life at any cost. Now here's where things get really deep. Quirrell tries to take the Philosopher's Stone from Harry. But when he touches him, his skin burns. Why? Because Harry was protected, not by magic but by love. His mother died to save him. That selfless act left a trace, an ancient magic more powerful than any spell. Voldemort, who's built his whole identity around domination and fear, can't even touch someone marked by sacrifice. That moment says everything about the themes of this story. Power isn't the strongest wand. It's not dark rituals or immortality. It's love. And that's what defeats Voldemort, not Harry himself but the love that lives in him. The love that he carries unknowingly, but that protects him in the end. He passes out. Wakes up in the hospital wing. Dumbledore is sitting beside him. And this is one of those iconic Dumbledore moments, equal parts wisdom, mystery, and subtle foreshadowing. Dumbledore doesn't just dump all the answers on him. He tells Harry what he needs to know, and leaves the rest for later. But he does confirm that the stone has been destroyed, which again shows restraint. In a lesser story, the stone would have been kept around for sequels. But here? No. It served its purpose. Now it's gone. No shortcuts. No cheating death. Just decisions. Consequences. Responsibility. And then we hit the final moment of the school year. The House Cup. Gryffindor is losing. Slytherin is set to win. The Great Hall is decorated in green. It's over. Until Dumbledore stands up and does the most Dumbledore thing ever. He starts handing out last-minute points. To Ron for chess strategy. To Hermione for cool use of intellect when others were in danger. To Harry for bravery beyond measure. And then, the final 10 points go to Neville Longbottom. Why? Because he stood up to his friends. And as Dumbledore says, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Boom. Neville. MVP. Gryffindor wins. And that's the perfect note to end on. Not just because the good guys win, but because it reminds us why they win. Not through brute strength. Not through clever tricks. But through courage, friendship, self-sacrifice, and love. So here we are, the last chapter of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. After all the challenges, the mysteries, the magical discoveries, and narrow escapes, Harry's first year at Hogwarts is coming to a close. And as much as it feels like an epic conclusion, it's also clear, this is only the beginning. Let's walk through this ending. Summer is here. The exams are over, the House Cup has been dramatically awarded, and the Hogwarts Express is about to take everyone home. That buzzing sense of adventure that started back at King's Cross Station is still in the air, but now it's tinted with nostalgia. Harry packs his trunk. Hedwig hoots softly in her cage. The castle feels quieter, and there's a kind of calm in the air, like that moment after the fireworks fade. But emotionally, this is where Rowling really sticks the landing. Because it's not just about plot anymore, it's about what's changed. Harry is no longer the boy who lived in a cupboard. He's now the boy who faced down Voldemort, who played Quidditch, who made friends that feel more like family. And even though he's heading back to the Dursleys' house, he's not the same kid who left it. One small detail here says it all. When Ron asks if Harry's worried about going home, Harry shrugs and says, "I'm not going home." Not really. Because Hogwarts is home now. That's the quiet truth that gives the ending so much power. He still has to live with the Dursleys for now, but he's not trapped anymore. He's seen something bigger. He belongs somewhere. And then we get this last ride on the Hogwarts Express. One more chance to see the trio just being kids. They're eating sandwiches, talking about the year, wondering about what's coming next. There's laughter. There's teasing. And it's one of the most human moments in the whole book. And can we just pause to appreciate how much ground Rowling covered in one book? In less than 80,000 words, we went from suburban misery to full-blown magical warfare. But somehow nothing ever feels rushed. Every moment earns its place. Every plot twist circles back to character. Even Neville's clumsy bravery matters. Even a chess game becomes heroic. Even a wand made from phoenix feather becomes a link between life and death. That's the magic of this story. It's about wizards and spells, sure, but at its heart, it's about choice. The Sorting Hat said it best. Harry could have done well in Slytherin. He had the traits, ambition, resourcefulness, determination. But he chose Gryffindor. He chose bravery. And Dumbledore reminds us again and again that it's our choices, not our abilities, that show who we really are. And think about that lesson in the context of the ending. Quirrell chose power. He let Voldemort use him. Snape, despite his bitterness, chose to protect Harry because of love and memory. Ron chose to put his life on the line in a chess game. Hermione chose friendship over rules. Neville chose to do the right thing, even when it meant losing friends. And Harry? Harry chose to face evil head-on, knowing he might not survive. That's the heartbeat of the book. And that's why the final lines hit so hard. As the train rolls into London and the trio steps off, Harry waves goodbye, not just to Hogwarts but to a version of himself that no longer fits. The boy who returns to the Dursleys is tougher, wiser, and more alive than ever. He's still small in the grand scheme of things. But he's ready. Ready for the next chapter. For the secrets still buried in his past. For the darkness that's still out there waiting. And so are we. Because closing this book doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like unlocking the first door in a much larger world. And honestly, that's what makes the Philosopher's Stone such a perfect start. It's not trying to be the biggest. It's not trying to be the darkest. It's trying to give you the why behind everything that comes next. It's showing us how one lonely kid with a scar and a lightning-shaped destiny can light a spark that changes the wizarding world forever. So when Harry steps off that train and heads into the sunlight, carrying only a trunk, an owl, and the memories of a year that changed him, it's not just a return to the ordinary. It's proof that magic leaves a mark, not just on the characters, but on us,